wanted to talk today about is, I've heard you say, there's what can a brand new agent do, or what should they do for marketing themselves? And then, how does that roll into what does say, a 5-year experienced agent do?
Right,
And then the 10, 15, 20-year, veteran of real estate, what do they do? So
right,
I think it's a great topic for us to talk about. There's so many different things.
right.
Are people doing them? Especially, we're here in the fall of 2024, and we've had 2.5 years of a pretty dry market for a lot of agents.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there's also a lot of uncertainty in what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
We've had the changes with the lawsuit, the national lawsuit, and that's put a lot of muddy water, or that's made a lot of muddy water for a lot of agents also.
Right.
So I'm curious to see, with you as a seasoned vet yourself, what are you seeing? What are you thinking? What are you hearing? I was kind of gonna let you direct this call, just
Ooh,
because you got your ears to ground. I know what I see, and I know what I think, and I think there's low hanging fruit, quote unquote, that agents can do
yeah.
that it still blows my mind that they don't do.
Right, right. Me too. I know. It's so from the day that a individual decides to start their licensing school, wherever they
Yeah,
go, from that day till the rest of their lives that they want to be a real estate agent, they are going to get bombarded with requests to spend their money. I mean,
yeah,
it hasn't changed from the winter of 1996 when I got my license to today. I mean, the ways and the requests are different, but I'm always getting, you know, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I'll never forget my first couple years as a licensee. I lived right in Central Phoenix, and oh my gosh. And again, remember mid 90s, the billboards, the bus stops, the benches, the bus
yeah,
stop benches. I would go to the grocery store, and on my grocery cart would be a realtor,
yeah,
estate agent, and then those little bars that you use on the what do you call that thing that it moves your groceries along?
yeah.
The,
The handlebar.
yeah, there's that little bar you put down to separate your groceries from the next person.
Oh
That would
yeah, yeah,
have four little ads for a real estate agent on it. And I'm like, oh, I need to be doing that, right? Because their face is everywhere. You obviously
yeah,
want your face everywhere. Um, where else? Oh, in the bathroom stalls. You go in the bathroom stalls and there'd be a board with like five or six or seven, things, and one of them would be a real estate agent. I mean, just the places where I would see people's, agents, and I thought, well, that's what I need to be doing. And then, you look into that and it's really expensive, really expensive. Um, Today it's you don't see much of that. I mean, you see how often, with the exception of maybe someone that has 72 something on their name, do you see a billboard with an agent's face? There's one agent that I actually am friends with who occasionally will put his face on a bus stop because he's very, very prevalent in a certain area, in
yeah,
Central Phoenix. But you just don't see that stuff anymore. Where you see it now is online, right? And tools to automate, and tools to speedily and quickly reach as many people as you possibly can. And the thing with now is, or today's world is, an individual driving by, grocery shopping, whatever they're doing, if they see your face, it's going to go in one eye and out the other. People don't register things. They don't have time for that crap. We're so busy that there's no way somebody's going to see your face and remember you or think to themselves, oh, they're, so-and-so's an agent. They're on my grocery cart. I must contact them somehow. It doesn't work that way
Right.
anymore. So especially for a newer agent or someone who's just in the first few years trying to figure that out, is really daunting. And there are some really great things you can do out there, but where agents, I don't care if you're new or you're not, they're missing the mark. Is if you're not connecting with your prospect, you're wasting your freaking time.
So when you say not connecting with your prospect, explain that a little bit more. Like, who's the prospect
Right.
and what do you mean by connecting?
So the prospect could be someone as foreign and cold as a cold call. Like, you're connecting with somebody, right? You're speaking to a human being. You're trying to anyway. Most agents will not cold call. I've
Right.
never made one in my life and I never will. It's just, I won't do it. You don't say you think it's a good idea and then you're like, I'm not going to do it. Or that prospect could be your sphere, your SEO, as they call it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and your sphere is everybody from SOY. Did I say SEO? God,
You
sorry.
did.
I'm not properly
We're
caffeinated.
making a difference with you.
Thank you. See, I have not had enough coffee. I celebrated watching the Cardinals win last night.
Yeah, they did win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, my bad. Your SOI, sphere of influence. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm brand new and I don't know anybody. Baloney. You know lots of people. And if you
You know,
don't know lots of people, does your spouse know a lot? Or your partner? What about your siblings if you're young? What about your parents? What about, your
totally.
parents? What about your
I say that to
hairdresser?
agents all the time. Like,
Yeah,
you know people, you're not 15 anymore.
right,
You're 25 or you're 30 or you're even, somebody who's 22.
right.
They,
You've
they
got
know homeowners, they know people. Yeah.
what do you do? What do you there was this gal I was coaching a while back, and she was really young. She was, I think she's like 19 or 20 at the most. And she's like, well, I just hang out with my friends. And of course, her friends are all 19 or 20. And we were talking and talking. And I'm like, do you go to church? Do you belong to do you play sport? Nope, nothing. She just didn't have like the biggest social life. Okay. Well, guess what? Her dad owned a landscaping company, and her mom owned a house cleaning service.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a rich venue of people to try to teach to reach through your parents,
Yeah.
right? So we worked on a plan to have her parents help her market herself, because even if, I mean, and that was the worst case scenario, right? That's somebody who just had like nobody that she could think of or that we could come up with. But most of us, if we're in our mid-20s or older, you're freaking mail person. um
Yeah.
what about if you're into DoorDash or you Uber your food all the time? What about the person who drops off your food? Okay, maybe they're not going to buy a house anytime soon because they can't afford, but maybe they're Ubering food so they can save up money to buy a house. Haha.
Right.
um your SOI is anybody that you see on a regular basis, or in some of us who have been in the business longer, people we've done past transactions with, people we've met at open houses, networking events, all kinds of stuff that are in your database. If you don't have a database of some sort, doesn't need to be I use Google. It's free. I do not pay for a database other than Google and iFound. That's it.
Yeah. So you could do a spreadsheet and
Yes.
Google Docs. It's free.
Do an Excel sheet. You don't have to pay for a database unless you're going to use the tools in it. And you're not going to like this, but I bet you don't.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
because it's not set up because you have to do a lot of work to set it up. Now, to do the things, you don't have to do a lot of work to maintain a database. You just throw somebody's name and email in there and their address, right? That part is easy, but to get the systems to work for what they advertise to you is always fairly complicated. Some are easier than others, but they don't do it for you.
Yeah, it's called Google Sheets.
Yeah, it's
And
a spreadsheet.
you could do right here, name,
Name,
go out one, phone,
phone, email.
email,
Worst
note.
case scenario, that's all you need, but you really should have their address. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean,
Address. You could do rent or own.
yep,
I mean, this is more than you need, but and then
right.
note, rent or own notes.
It
Um,
Do it
another
the way you want to do it. Do it your way.
exactly. Source. It's
Could be.
something for people to track. And then notes. Those are probably the things that I would think are notes, right?
Yep. So here's another great place to find your sphere. Believe it or not, people that you regularly, and I do mean regularly, engage with on social media. Who doesn't have people they don't know well? I do, that I chat with, or we like each other's stuff, or we comment on each other's stuff, and I don't really know them personally that well. Met through a friend of a friend. Well, if you only rely on social media, that's a bad thing. But that can be people you know too, because they know somebody you know, obviously, or probably that's how you got connected.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, yeah, there's the phone. Everyone's got a phone. That's
yep,
a system. Like I
yep, yep,
I say that all the time. That's a system. You just go contact, brrr, dial for contacts. Oh.
yep,
There's your database.
yep. And you know, we talked about connecting can look like all kinds of things. The ideal connection is a conversation, and I do mean well, no, it doesn't have to be a verbal conversation. It could be a text message, a DM, but a conversation, input, you know, a back and forth conversation, not one of, you know, an email one week or an email the next week. And I'm talking about some sort of current ongoing exchange.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna call it exchange because if you're doing it in text, then it's not necessarily. I just think conversation is you and I are talking,
yeah.
and then exchange
Well,
can be a different, like you could include it all.
so the thing is, Dale, that people like you and I have to remember is that the younger folk, 35 and under, they don't talk on the phone.
They
They
don't.
really don't. They text. And you know what? That's okay. If that's the way they have conversations, that's fine.
Yeah,
I just want them to do it.
right.
And that I don't ever judge someone and say, you know, if you're not picking up the phone and talking, then why bother? Because they don't. That's just to them, that's not weird.
I know it's not
To
weird.
you and I, it is, but to them, it's not. And that's just the way they roll. And that's okay. As long as it's an engaging exchange talking about something and real estate coming into the conversation. You know, you can sit there and be talking with them about something and say, hey, I'm going to go look at houses, or I'm going to go, you know, inflect what you do for a living into the conversation.
Yeah.
That's connecting.